Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vortex Sunday on Slipstream. We've got two matches from the highest division of the ECC tonight, and we kick things off with a meeting between two of the top three sides that this competition has to offer. It's Dunno Chief, the pole sitters at the moment, taking on TT Willhaben. Behind them, Dunno Chief have a game in hand. It's an important fixture for the team currently occupying third to try and get a win in, but it will be a big challenge. And joining me for this
I'm not sure if I've cut it or if it was Herbie,
first
but
of two fixtures tonight is Blue Wolf. How you doing?
it's good to be here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. First time doing Slipstream in a while, time doing the Vortex and even longer, and I'm hoping to see some really high quality Rocket League. Of course, there's not really any higher possible quality Rocket League here. You know, the team that's top of the Vortex, they're the king of the food chain, really.
Yes, it will be an entertaining fixture from start to finish. I think Dunno Chief are the favourites, of course. They've dropped just one game so far this season. TT Willhaben, we did watch them play a couple of days ago. They swept aside Cagliari Calcio Exceed in a fixture that they were certainly deserving of the victory, and they were fairly dominant from start to finish. But as myself and Muzz mentioned at the time, their wins so far this season have come against sides in the bottom half of the table, and now the real test for them begins.
Well, I think you could make the argument they've played so few games, you know, all of the teams, that the fact they've beaten them puts them in the bottom half in a way, although it has to be said, it's sort of a health warning. They are top. They have only played 3 games. There's still an awful lot of Rocket League still to be played. TT Willhaben, as you said, have played one more game. They also have a loss under their belt. It's a 3-2 to Visu Gaming, who are currently sitting down in fourth. So not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination, but TT Willhaben, they'll be hoping to get a really big scalp here today and try and sort of right the wrong of their recent defeat.
Yeah, I think they've got a lot to prove in this series. They're surrounded by sides that I think you would traditionally expect to be competing for the playoff places. Dunno Chief, imagine playing threes above them, and Little Women's and VC Gaming below them. It's a fixture that, well, they stand out a little bit because they played that extra game so far this season, as opposed to all of the teams surrounding them in the table. So that puts a little bit of pressure on them in a way, because if you're ahead on fixtures, you've got to try and keep yourselves in the upper ends of the table. If you slip to 3-2 here, the teams outside of that top competing bracket are going to be thinking about chasing you down with their games in hand. So being the team on the forefront of the games played can up the pressure on you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, but also it has to be said, even if teams do have a game in hand, they still have to go out and win that game, and that puts a bit of pressure on them as well. Just so you guys know, I think we should talk about what will happen if either of these two teams win. If Dunno Chief win, they will stick at the top of the league, and TT Willhaben will also stay exactly where they are, pending future results. Little Whammons, they're playing the very next game, I believe, on stream, and if they win that one, they will overtake Willhaben. So Willhaben, if they want to hold on, they can't really hold on to their position here. They sort of have to go up or go down in a way. As if they win today, they go top, and Dunno Chief go third. Imagine playing threes are going to sit comfortably in that second position with 2 games in hand, which can be a blessing and it can be a curse, and it'd be a bit of a weird position to be in with them.
Well, the second fixture coming up on stream tonight is two teams from the bottom half of the table at the moment. Victory Esports and Oofstones currently sitting in 7th and 8th, respectively, just the one win on the season between them. So those two teams are not going to be challenging the top places, regardless of whoever wins that series anytime soon. But as you mentioned, Little Women's also playing tonight, and they could extend their record to join the group of teams that are on 3 wins. But certainly for Dunno Chief to pick up this victory, go to 4-0 and possibly have a game win difference as high as +11 after the first 4 matches of the season. Well, that's just a dream start for them. They are going to be tested in this series today, but I think they have to still be the favourites overall.
Yeah, I think every single game in the Vortex is a test. I don't think there's really any easy games, except I don't want to be mean to them, but I think that the Cagliari team seems to be a pretty easy win for everyone who's played against them so far. But I think these are the two teams in the top half. They're both in the top 4. They're both hoping to try and be challenging playoffs at the end of the season. And it's still early enough doors where anything could really happen in this game. I'm going to back to No Chief as well, but I think I'm getting a little bit led by the table positions. TT Willhaben could win. I would not be surprised in the slightest.
Yeah, seeding difference between these two teams is about 70 MMR, which is not a significant gap, but there comes a point in league gameplay where at this level, the seeding begins to not really matter anymore, because the players are less focused on improving their rank and more upon scrims and actual competitive matches. So it can be a bit of a misleading statistic looking at the MMR on this level. But the most important thing to think about is how all 10 teams in this division had to go through the rigors of qualifying for the Vortex in one way or another. So they certainly deserve to be here, and we can expect an entertaining series as a result.
Yep, still waiting for one more team to join. So let's talk a little bit more about this exciting matchup. You predicted Dunno Chief to win, didn't you, as well? Or was that just me?
I think we're both in agreement on that front. I want to give TT Willhaben at least a game out of this series because I think they do have the quality to take it, but a 3-2 would probably be a little too generous for them. So I'll stick in the middle and say 3-1 to Dunno Chief.
Okay, it's worth remembering so far. You're predicting 3-1. So far this season, Dunno Chief, they've only lost a single game versus Victory Esports. That was a 3-1 win. Everything else so far has been 3-0. Will this game be the same? That is the question. We are going live now with Dunno Chief versus TT Willhaben.
Well, first goal of the series is always important, and perhaps none more so than at the highest level of ECC competition. Really, momentum can play an important factor for both of these teams, and it is early possession for Dunno Chief as they launch a ball forwards. That one's going to be flipped over to the right side, and now Side will take control of it in his own half for TT Willhaben. Looking for the ground pinch, Carbo is going to clear that one away. NKS is up for it and goes for the drag over the top, but that one will be sent out to the corner by Dunno Chief, and we have a scoreless first 20 seconds of the game. Both the teams just feeling each other out a little bit.
Feeling each other out indeed. It seems as this is the first proper attack for Dunno Chief, trying to get into that orange half, but the ball is knocked away. HP able to make a semi-clearance, falls down for Ilya, trying to get that one centred. Does sort of succeed, but in the end the ball is easily cleared away by Raziers. Good save again from HP. Not really a ball you'd expect to go in at this level of competition. Obviously, it's something special to beat these keepers, or perhaps a defensive mistake. So far, in the first minute, both these defenses are holding fairly firm here.
Raziers may have an opportunity to take on a loose ball in midfield, and there's two misses on the backboard there. Surely Dunno Chief will capitalise on this. HP is up for it, and the double tap as well. And the mistake is certainly capitalised on in some stylish fashion there for Dunno Chief as they strike first.
I'm feeling some vindication talking about mistakes there, but I think we can't take away from the finish from HP. Absolutely exquisite stuff, taking it into that top left corner. Great goal to score, and a great one to start off this series with Dunno Chief. They'll be feeling a little bit more comfortable now as that ball seems to be sort of hovering around their own half for the majority of the play we've seen so far, and they'll be hoping they can push off that and get a few more goals here and try and make this game safe for them.
Yeah, definitely. Your position in the standings is irrelevant when you first begin a series. You have to underline your status as the favourites on the pitch by getting the first goal in the game, and Dunno Chief have done just that. This is a dangerous ball looping in from distance, but that one will be sent back with some vigour by Carbo. Back to the halfway line where Side takes a bump in the air from HP, but TT Willhaben escape with the counter-attack, looking for the passing play, and now here is a loose ball for NKS, dragging the ball around one defender, cuts back inside, hits the post, and Raziers will clear that over to the wing. TT Willhaben applying some pressure going the other way, even though they don't have a goal to show for it. It's promising signs for them.
Yeah, TT Willhaben, I think, have had the majority of possession, 2 shots apiece for these two sides, and of course the goal is still for Dunno Chief. That demo on the goal line could build a second opportunity. It hasn't. That's a great pass into HP. Nothing going to come from it. There was TT Willhaben trying desperately to clear their lines and start another attack. At the moment, they're still on defence. It's going to fall nicely for NKS, but in the end, the interception does come through, and I feel at the moment the next goal is going to come for Dunno Chief. That miss in the air from Carbo might have cost them. Thankfully, it hasn't. It feels like Kirby, the next goal is going to come from another mistake. I don't think these teams are really looking like they're going to be able to break each other's defenses down at the moment.
Yeah, TT Willhaben still look a little bit edgy. I think they are growing into this game as time goes on, but they still find themselves 1-0 down as we pass the halfway point of game one, and they look the more likely to make a mistake at the moment. Good demo tracking back there from Raziers, and HP is up for another double tap and the second goal of the game.
He's looked incredibly lively, probably the best player on the server by a significant margin. Gets a lovely touch, 2 touches for the first goal, 2 touches for the second. That's what you love to see, and they've come to play here.
Well, when you open up a higher shooting angle in the Vortex, it means you've got a wider area to defend as well, and TT Willhaben just found themselves a little bit stretched on that occasion. Raziers will make this clear up to the right wing as Dunno Chief look to press into a bigger lead, Aliu is back to make this clear, and they've got one defender on the halfway line to try and negotiate. They win the 50 and try and take it over the top, but HP wins it back for Dunno Chief, and do they have another special finish in them? Carbo will launch it back into the danger area, and it's loose in front. Raziz might be able to get onto it, but that one will pop over to the right wing, and TT willhaben will get it away.
Yeah, it's a long launch from Ali. It does fall nicely for Carbo on the goal line, trying to start a dribble. That's a weird pinch, but it might have resulted in a goal. The first for TT willhaben. Nothing does come from it in the end, and it's just a sniper shot from Carbo from the halfway line. Seems to come from nothing there. That's what happens when you're trying to overextend, trying to get that goal to try and get your team back in the game. You can just get caught on the counter like that.
It is rather unfortunate for TT willhaben that they haven't gotten back into the game yet. They saw the brief opportunity perhaps on that pinch. It certainly caught all the defenders off guard, but unfortunately the attacker overextended looking for the finish, and that resulted in the quick counter-attack. Is there a fourth here for Dunno Chief? Blocked at the source of the shot by Aliu. HP is up for this one, and it will now come to Sai in the corner. TT willhaben opt to just throw possession away there, trying to put some pressure on in the offensive zone. It might come off for them here if they can get it back on the left wing, but Carbo makes the clear, and that kind of sums up some of the problems that TT willhaben have had in this game. They need to try and keep possession closer to their cars.
Yeah, a lot of problems to unpack for them, and I hope they can do it and give us an entertaining series. But so far this one's been looking a little bit lopsided, as I think HP is mainly the main person leading this attack here for Dunno Chief, in that he wants to just get that hat-trick. 3 goals is definitely going to be enough for them. I don't see the other side squeezing out 3 in the last 35 seconds. They might get 1 here. Oh, it's just over the bar. Kezi going to miss that one. It's going to fall for the ball again. Passes it back to his goalkeeper. He launches it long again, and their long launches have been looking fairly decent so far from TT willhaben, as opposed to their passing plays, which, although they haven't looked bad, haven't really looked that threatening at scoring, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, TT willhaben's shooting opportunities haven't really been direct enough. Both of the goals that HP has scored in this game, they put themselves into a position looking for the double tap where you'd think, well, if they don't score this, it's an error on their part, not bad defending from the opposition. It's just good, high-quality chances, and there's another one to cap off the game. Why not finish it with a hat-trick? They're certainly deserving of it.
Well, it seemed there that the shot came through, and I'm not sure if the plan was a pass to HP or HP just saw that the ball was definitely going to be saved, so he just edges in front of the 2 defenders, hits that one across the face of goal, and claims a very well-deserved hat-trick and a victory for Dunno Chief in Game 1.
Well, a 4-0 victory for Dunno Chief. They didn't need too many shots to do it, just 6 on target and only 1 save for TT willhaben, but I suppose if you create chances of that quality, it doesn't really matter how many of them you have. For TT willhaben, their chances were simply not as good, and that resulted in the big difference on the scoreboard that we've seen in Game 1. In terms of actual play on the pitch and possession coming through midfield, I felt like both teams had an equal amount of opportunity to create chances, but Dunno Chief were just a little bit more creative with theirs.
Yeah, and of course there's the whole thing about the team that was chasing the game at the end was TT willhaben, so the chances for them, they had to throw more men forward. You know, that third man has to get up the pitch as well, which left them vulnerable on the counter-attack at least once. And I think they'll be very concerned about their offense going into this next game. Maybe if they can keep that sort of pressure up that they did for the first minute of Game 1, but then they don't just concede on the counter-attack from Dunno Chief, then maybe they might have a chance in this one. I don't think it's over yet, and it would have been thrown wide open there if Ali put that one in. The shot does come through. It's NKS. It's 1-0 to TT willhaben. Series is well and truly back on.
Well, you want a goal as soon as possible to open up Game 2 and just remind the other team of your quality. We can easily look at Dunno Chief through rose-tinted glasses and say, well, this is the team that's top of the Vortex at the moment. Now they're 1-0 up in the series. Surely it's just a straightforward victory for them from here on out. TT willhaben have struck back in the early going of Game 2, and they've got to try and control the play a little bit more. They find themselves stuck in their defensive third at the moment. Aliu with the fake to try and beat one defender. Now Sai is up for it. Drags HP out of position, but Raziz is in there to follow up for Dunno Chief. Now puts a dangerous pass into the middle where Aliu clears up to the halfway line, and HP will send it right back in. The team in blue is not letting up after conceding the first goal.
Yeah, you wouldn't let up. They think they are the better team. They definitely showed it in game number 1. They need to start building their chances this time, though. Carbo's going to flick that one goal bound. Ali away. Maybe a little bit higher as opposed to further, but NKS is going to capitalise, and the third man is why it's not going to fall for him. Wazir's just doing everything he can to get that ball away. Carbo's going to sweep it. into a 50, falls for Roziers again, launches it to Carbo, taps it down, looking for HP. The danger man gets a shot. I think that was probably an easier save than it looked. Ali acrobatically able to flick it onto the crossbar and get it away. That ball's up in the air though still. And at the moment, this pressure is feeling like more than really what TT willhaben put in game 1 when they were behind. And at the moment, Dunno Chief keep this pressure up. I think they're inevitably going to score here, Herbie. Oh!
And that is a lovely finish there from Carbo to tie the game up for Dunno Chief. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It was a different kind of feel to when TT willhaben went behind in game 1. The pace was very high between both of these teams here. Dunno Chief were driving the ball and forcing TT willhaben to match their speed. And eventually that pressure paid off. It's 1-1. TT willhaben nearly had an opportunity from the kickoff, but the two teammates bumped each other. Now here comes Roziers from the ceiling, directs it downwards off the backboard. And then KS makes an important save over to the right side, but Dunno Chief are continuing as they left off, having equalised.
Yeah, well started ball there by HP. His teammates retreating. They don't need to chase the game now. They found their equalising goal. Carbo's going to try and hit that one in the centre. There's no one back, but the shot is just wide. That was a golden edged opportunity there for TT willhaben to restore their lead. HP though going to launch that ball down the pitch. He's going to be chasing it like a dog after a bone. His bone is finding his first goal in this game. Carbo though seems to have picked up the mantle of being that star attacker, as HP's yet to find a single goal. Carbo found their first, almost found their second there, as well as EZY and co were trying desperately to scramble some sort of a comeback into this game, as it feels like despite their early goal it's slipping through their fingers, as HP's going to add insult to injury and take the lead for Dunno Chief.
Excellent assist there by Carbo. Fakes out one player and then just carries the ball past the second. It's an easy finish for HP once the ball makes it all the way into the middle. And Dunno Chief now have the lead. TT willhaben haven't really gotten out of their own half since they scored the first goal of the game. Just couldn't keep the pressure up in midfield, and now they're failing to control the boost in their own corner. Here comes Roziers, cuts inside and makes it free. Carving through this defence like they're not even there at the moment.
It's not as pretty as some of the other goals we've seen today, but you know, you'll take what you're given, Herbie. They've just put the pressure on again from the kickoff. They're not letting up. They're not happy with being 1 goal up. They want to be 2 goals up. They're 4 goals up last time, Herbie, and they could easily do the same here. 3-1 the score, half the game still to go. Roziers with his first goal of the game sees everyone on the side get one for Dunno Chief. That's a shot from Carbo straight at the keeper. The follow-up from Roziers is going to be in. He was the last person to score his first goal. He's the first one to score second.
Yeah, I feel like the adrenaline is running a little bit for TT willhaben at the moment. That save that the defender made was a reactionary stop, just the quick thinking, get myself behind the ball, and not really thinking about what will happen once you've made the save. It simply pops the ball out in front of the net for an easy finish, and it was actually a double commit as well. So TT willhaben, they're all over the place at the moment. It's not like game 1, where admittedly they did lose 4-0, but they at least kept a consistent rotation throughout and were simply outplayed when the chances were made. Right now it's Dunno Chief, and they're going to add a 5th goal on here. It is a period of sustained dominance for the team in blue.
Well, they've achieved it. They've once again got the 4-goal margin back up. HP in and among the goals again. Fairly simple finish over the goalkeeper. Slots it into an empty net as TT willhaben. They've completely capitulated here, Herbie. And how would they go about trying to make a comeback? I think this game's a write-off, but how would they go about starting a reversal?
Well, in a ranked game, you've forfeited by now, but league play is not so kind. You've still got 1 minute and 45 to go in a game that you've pretty much lost. Coming back from 4 goals down against the top place team in the Vortex at the moment, that's just not happening. But you have to try and get yourself at least a goal or 2 back in this game and prove that you are capable of generating offence heading into the next one. You need to incite fear in the opposition, whereas right now Dunno Chief are very much in control of this game, and the procession is pretty much already underway for them. They're thinking that they've won the series already. TT willhaben need to come up with something different and show them that that's not the case.
Yeah, we need TT willhaben to build off what they showed us in game 1, but it's been a complete regression here. They've gone backwards. Not working out for them at all. They're not getting out of their own half here. That's probably the first time they've done in a long time, as RZY has that ball immediately taken off him. Attempted pinch off the backboard results in very little being created. NKS trying to get something away. It's blocked just about by HP. There was a player back at the net, so no real risk here, as we've had just 4 shots the way of TT willhaben, and it feels like there's been less than that, Herbie. I don't think I could recall maybe any of them really.
Well, in the last minute or so of game time, Dunno Chief's offense has slowed up a little bit, but it's not for a lack of trying. They've actually committed a man forwards, hanging in the offensive half, looking for a redirect opportunity. That's how dominant they have been so far in this game. TT willhaben's rotation has broken down, but they've got themselves a goal on the assist from Sai, big finish from Aliu, and they are going to capitalise on Dunno Chief's mispositioning a little bit.
Yeah, I think Raziers thought he had that one covered, but in the end the ball just had a little bit too much pace on it, and he just gets that sort of fingertip that can't stop it going into the net. So the 18 seconds on the clock. This is good mentally for TT willhaben. They're able to break down this defense at least twice, get those 2 goals, and they're going to get it. Oh, I thought they had a third one there. I didn't see where HP came from, but thankfully for his team he was there, and he might get a third one here. Nope, not quite. Razier's going to try and tee this one up for a dribble. Goes for it in the air. Carbo's trying to steal it off him, I think, or get a passing play going. It's not going to happen. Carbo ends up just floating through the air as the ball goes to the ground, and Dunno Chief have claimed their second win.
And this time it is by a 3-goal margin, but you could argue that the difference between the 2 teams on the pitch was greater in this game than it was in game 1. 14 shots on target to 6 in favour of Dunno Chief, and well, the middle section of the game, TT willhaben was simply not playing Rocket League. They were chasing shadows, and Dunno Chief were very comfortable. But game 3 is a fresh start. It's 0-0 to begin with. And for TT willhaben, they have to set up a little bit more defensively. I think, of course, it's easy to say that once they've spent so much time defending, but no double commits. Eradicate that from your game and just ensure that you're matching the opposition at every play, because right now they're throwing 2 people at individual plays and that's costing them on rebound opportunities.
Yeah, I think the worry is that if they start trying to throw themselves forward, they could just get caught at the back. So it's really a difficult position for them, especially when we've seen a team just completely flexing their muscles the way Dunno Chief have in this series. And I'm excited to see where this one goes. I'm hopeful for TT willhaben to form some sort of a comeback. I really don't think it's going to happen though, but I'd happily be wrong, Herbie, as we are getting right back into it.
Well, for TT willhaben, their chances of a reverse sweep against the top team in the Vortex at the moment, the difference between these 2 teams in Game 2 was very evident on the pitch, so I don't think that TT willhaben really have anything to lose at the moment. I mean, if they can become one of the teams that gets a single game off of Dunno Chief, that could prove to be a very valuable modifier to their game win difference at the end of the season, so it may well just be a case of trying to completely change up their strategy and just get something out of this series, even if it's not the overall win. And they are pressing for the first goal again. It's NKS to push into the centre, and Ali was up there for it. Now 3 Dunno Chief players charge down the right wing. HP trying to cut inside, but it's defended away by willhaben.
Yeah, you talked about them winning a game against this Dunno Chief side. They'd only be the second team to do it after Victory Esports managed it before. Every other game has been a 3-0 for Dunno Chief. Admittedly, only 2. This one's looking like a third at the moment, but they need to start finding that first goal, finding that pressure. They've just had 1 shot so far. That could have been a second one there. NKS had centred that one slightly more accidentally towards their own net. PZY is forced chasing that ball. NKS again in the action, this time just to tee the ball up. No one is there as Ali's the third man trying to get this dribble off. Gets it straight to the side wall. It's bouncing around. We're in the middle of the pitch. I think that's sort of a microcosm of the game so far. The ball just seems to be pinging left, right and centre, which is good for TT willhaben in that Dunno Chief haven't really built that offense yet that they've been famous for throughout the whole of Vortex playing throughout the season. As I say that though, throw that completely out the window. They've just scored an amazing goal.
Yes, it didn't really look like a presentable opportunity until it was already in the net. Ali was up there to defend it, but Raziers had the better touch, and well, TT willhaben are simply not scoring chances like that. They've not even created chances like that. And it's 1-0 to Dunno Chief. 3 minutes and 20 to go in this game. Number 3 did have a second goal. There's a lot of misses coming out in front of the net, but NKS is the last defender to get a touch on it. TT willhaben are at least keeping a little more space between their defenders. There hasn't been any double commits from them, but maybe now the pressure is back on them again, having conceded the first goal, we could see it happen.
Is this the caster curse where we all finish sentences as players score? So it's kind of hard to comment on anything you just said, Herbie. That's going to be thrown straight out the window, just as what I said was thrown straight out the window after their first. It's HP again. Probably the MVP of the series for me. Adding another one to their goal haul is TT willhaben. It's looking like a repeat of what we've seen before here. The only thing going for them is the fact there is still 3 minutes on that clock. Of course, anything can happen, but not everything will. They're on the defense again. Razier's trying to get the chance going. He's really grown into the series. As we've gone on, Carbo winning that 50 just about might create an opportunity. It's fallen nicely. HP tries to go for a demo on the keeper, but there's no one contesting the ball, which leads PZY and Ali to make the venture down that left wing where they're forced to leave the ball, deposit it in the blue control. Good touch by HP, thwarts that attack. As now they just seem to be flexing their muscles a bit, calming down. I think Dunno Chief, they're feeling a little bit comfortable right about now.
Yeah, the scariest thing about this series for me has got to be that Dunno Chief, they look like they've still got an extra gear that they've not needed to visit at any point in this series, given how much they've been in control. They almost had a third goal on here, but you can sense at the moment the speed isn't particularly high for them. They're just absorbing pressure from TT willhaben in their defensive third, just keeping them penned back, and eventually the opportunity may present itself. Sai is up for the clear here. That'll mean Raziers needs to get up onto the backboard and send it away. Now HP over to the other side, down the left wing, looking to carve out an opportunity, but TT willhaben win it back. Aliu goes for the drag over the top. Good clear out to the side wall by Carbo.
Took some nerves there from Carbo. He just popped that ball in between the advancing offensive players. I suppose that's the sort of place you make when you're just feeling completely calm and comfortable in the series. You know, you're still in gear 3. You don't need to go up to gear 5 at the moment. Kit change though, if TT willhaben can make an opportunity stick anytime soon. It's not looking like that's going to be a factor though. PZY up in the air. This could be a goal here. Goes for the flip reset. Isn't going to get it though. Carbo's getting that ball away. Ali tries to intercept it. Does. That's falling to the centre. Misses Raziers. Tries to pass it, but no one's cutting across. Here comes PZY. They're trying to build these opportunities, but it feels like there's always just one player missing. There's no one on the other end of these passes.
Aliu's going to go up for this next one. It's another attempt at a flip reset and trying to carry the ball underneath the defender, but Carbo was off their line quickly to meet it, and without boost, gets the ball all the way into the mixer. Now HP goes up for the rebound, but NKS clears it out to the sidewall. We have just under 40 seconds to go in this going through the series. TT willhaben's deficit isn't a great one, but they've barely had a single opportunity to cut into it. They're going to have to create something very soonish, but that is a very poor turnover in front of their own net that's going to cost them dearly.
Yeah, it seemed kind of like a Moses Red Sea situation. It just seemed to part there for Raziers. The ball stranded between two orange defenders. A gaping goal in front of them and a 3-0 lead taken. 26 seconds sees the series be effectively ended as TT willhaben. I think they'll be kicking themselves. I think they'll be disappointed with their performance today. Maybe they'll be able to cap it off. It's a nice little goal here. They might just. It's actually fired straight out of HP. Grateful for that save. It was fairly easy to make. NKS is only able to hit that one towards their own net. It's a double commit. Raziers and HP going for it. Not that will matter in the long run as this game is in the dying embers. NKS with what will probably be the final shot. I think both teams might want to keep this one up here just for a bit of fun. HP's only able to turn it onto the ground though. 3-0. Dunno Chief. They've taken the series, Herbie. Is that what you were expecting, or left wanting a little bit from that one?
It was a very good performance from start to finish by Dunno Chief, and they are deserving of this victory and then some. Their game 2 was simply outstanding. To dominate by that standard at this level of competition, they're going to stay top of the table. They move on to a 4-0 record and a plus 11 game win difference. Everything's looking rosy for them. TT willhaben are likely going to be exiting the playoff places sometime soonish as teams play their game in hand, but they're not done for yet. They've still got a 3-2 record themselves. That's still a good platform to try and build upon in their future matches, but for the first time that they've come up against a genuine contender at the top of the Vortex, I think there might be a little inquest on their part.
Yeah, an inquest. It might turn into a full-on inquiry here with the amount of a gap between the two sides. It was really sort of frustrating to watch because you felt like when you're looking at the Vortex, you're looking at it being first versus third. It felt more like first versus seventh, first versus eighth, maybe even first versus ninth. As TT willhaben, they weren't on the same level as their opponents, and there was only really a period of about a minute and a half at the start of game one where they really looked like the better side. There was never, even when they scored the 2 goals in game two, the only goals they scored in the whole series, they sort of felt like kind of one-off opportunities. They didn't feel like the result of a concerted period of pressure, a moment where they were the better team and they were the team creating the chances. It just almost seemed like a fluke.
Well, there's always the next series, but the next series for us contains different participants. It's still in the Vortex, though. 7th placed Victory Esports are going to take on the 8th placed Oofstones in the match that both teams desperately need to win to haul themselves back into playoff contention. And you won't want to miss the appearance of Castfish as he helps me oversee the next fixture. We will be back in about half an hour for that.